How you doing out there? Look, it looks like we're getting into some jazz tonight with some of the stuff I'm playing there. I don't know if you recognize what I was playing, but that was me kind of playing around with the classic John Coltrane tune called Moment's Notice. Okay, now one thing about jazz and a lot of jazz influenced music is there's a lot of harmony to the chords. There's a lot of chord changes in the songs and in the progressions, and that means that you have to get pretty good at playing through chord changes, and we've been doing that to a certain extent with a lot of what we've been covering in the last lessons, but we're really going to tackle it today. And one of the most important aspects of playing jazz comes down to a simple chord progression that is the basis for a lot of tunes, and that's called the 2-5-1 progression. Okay, so a 2-5-1 is referring to the diatonic relationship of the chord. So when you have a progression that is called a 2-5-1, that means what's happening is the 2 chord in a progression. Let's say we were in the key of C, okay, and the diatonic harmony of C would be C major 7, D minor 7, E minor 7, F major 7, G7, A minor 7, and B minor 7 flat 5, and C major 7. Okay, and what that means when it's a 2-5-1 is it simply means it's the 2 chord of the key going to the 5 chord to the 1 chord. So a 2-5-1 in the key of C sounds like D minor 7, G7 to C major 7. And so that's one of the most fundamental chord progressions in jazz is a 2-5-1. It happens over and over again in so many songs. And in fact, variations of 2-5s and 2-5-1s is the basis for many jazz tunes. So the Coltrane tune that I was just playing literally is nothing but a bunch of 2-5 and 2-5-1. So the progression started off E minor, A7, F minor, B flat 7 to E flat. So that in effect is a 2-5 in D major going up a half step to a 2-5-1 in E flat major. And so it's a lot of movement, but it's outlining these key changes. This is the key of D when you have these 2 chords together, E minor and A7, and this is the key of E flat when you have the F minor, the B flat, and the E flat major 7. So it means there's a lot of movement, and sometimes the chord changes, you don't necessarily have to play off each individual chord. You can just play through the key centers, and that would be adequate in a lot of cases. In other cases, you really want to play right off each chord. So we're going to study, our lesson today is going to deal with the 2-5-1 progression, and I've got a progression that we're going to work on that's going to really help us get through this workout of the classic jazz cycle of chords. Okay, so we know now that the minor 7th arpeggios, dominant 7th arpeggios, and major 7th arpeggios. So we're in a pretty good position to start tackling 2-5-1s and jazz type progressions. So what I've got on our board here is a cycle of 2-5-1s written right behind us. And you can see I've given us 2 bars of each chord so we can really kind of make the sound happen. So here's our first 2-5-1 in the key of C, and I repeat it just so you can get another stab at it. And in fact, once I go to the 1 chord, I actually brought in the 4 chord of the key, just to give you another sound to play through. But this whole progression here at letter A is all in the key of C major, all the way through. Okay? Now, that doesn't mean that all I want you to do is just play up and down C major, because we already can kind of do that now already. We've covered that kind of playing technique of just playing in the key center. What I want you to do is focus on the arpeggios off each of these chords and really see if you can articulate each sound individually. Okay, so now what I do is I modulate to the key of E flat, and I play a 2-5-1 in the key of E flat right here. Okay, here's the 1 chord, and again I go to the 4 chord on the second half of this progression here, and it still stays in E flat though. So we modulate from C to E flat, and then in the end here, I go back to C, and I simply just play a 2-5. I don't even play the 1. Okay. So you're going to hear 2-5-1s expressed in a lot of different densities of chords and progressions and styles and feels and everything. What I've got on our progression here is simply more of a laid-back bossa nova feel than the swing feel I was playing earlier, just to give you a little bit more relaxation when you're playing it. Okay, so what I want you to focus on now is going back to your arpeggio shapes and really seeing if you can maybe stay in one position and play off each of the chords with individual arpeggios. Right? And that's the first step you want to tackle. In fact, the 4 chord comes up there in the second half. Okay, let's just see how you're going to do with that first, okay? Let's get all the way up to the end of the F chord, okay? And let's see if you can keep up with it here. So the tempo is going to be, okay, there we go. Here we go. 8th notes on each chord. 1, 2, 3, 4. D minor again. G7. C major 7. Here comes the F. Okay, so that might be a little bit fast if you're just practicing at home and you're having a hard time keeping up. That's okay, I understand. You might want to do it slower when you're working out at home. You can record the progression for your own practice tempo and bring it down a little bit. But what you want to do is do this in every position, 5 different positions. You might be very comfortable in one position, but if you move it to another position and you're still playing the same chord progression, you're going to get a little bit lost, maybe because you don't know the arpeggios as well. Okay, so let's try that maybe in a different position. I'm going to play my minor 7 right here now, and then I'm going to play my dominant 7 right here, and my major 7 right in the middle there. So it should be nice and neat there. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4. Major 7. Now check it, I'm going to go to F minor 7. E flat major 7. A flat major 7. Here's D minor 7. G7. And there's the top again. Okay. Okay, so it's just a good solid workout on your arpeggios. I mean, we've covered arpeggios before, but we're getting into playing arpeggios in a 2-5-1 kind of cycle because that's going to give us the introduction into some jazz playing now. Okay, so when you start getting into jazz, you're going to use those arpeggios pretty liberally, but you're going to start adding other scales to them, and you're going to add other arpeggios and other types of colors to the arpeggios to kind of hip up the sound. So I'm going to play a little bit at the end here just to give you a taste of what that's going to sound like and what we're going to cover in the next lesson. Okay, so working those arpeggios through this progression and make sure that you can keep up with it and work on it one position at a time, making sure that you cover all the different patterns of the arpeggios and really be honest with yourself. Don't gravitate to 1 or 2 shapes that you know over and over again. Try to cover the whole neck and play all the different positions of the arpeggios. Okay, so here's what I might do if I were just going to make music over it and add some other things to it. 2, 3, 4. right, so this is Dave Hill signing off. I'll see you on the next lesson. We're going to get into some of this fancier stuff and cover it in the next few lessons. So hang in there and just work on those arpeggios for now. I'll see you in the next one. All right, see you later.